you need more time than 6 weeks. I've disagreed with that right from the early primaries. When I heard about it, I disagreed with it. At the same time, the Democrats are radical because the 9 months is just a ridiculous situation that where you can do an abortion in the 9th month. And, you know, some of the states like Minnesota and other states have it where you could actually execute the baby after birth.
Former President Donald Trump there clarifying his stance on abortion on Friday. While the former president still says 6 weeks isn't enough for a woman to choose if she should terminate her pregnancy, he again insisted that some states are allowing babies to be killed after they're born. Trump's increasing comments on abortion this week comes as new polling shows that more voters are listing abortion as their top issue this election. That's ranked second only to the economy. For more insight into the role of reproductive rights in this election, let's bring in presidential candidate Dr. Jill Stein, who joins us now live. Dr. Stein, thank you very much for being here with me today.
Great to be with you.
All right, let's get your reaction to the former president's comments. Women's issues were a target for Trump this week, claiming IVF would be free under his presidency, also commenting on whether 6 weeks is enough when it comes to abortions. His comments certainly making a lot of headlines. I want to know whether or not you think the former president is going about this topic the right way.
Well, he has a lot of damage to repair, that's for sure. You know, it's clear that American women are not going to back off on our rights to full reproductive health care, and it should be that simple. Our campaign has been fighting for health care as a human right for everyone comprehensively, and that includes reproductive care with those decisions to be made between a woman and her healthcare provider. You know, reproductive care should be part of a system of comprehensive health care. As a medical doctor myself, you know, I'm very aware we cannot separate off our different organ systems. We are one whole human being, and we deserve full health care across all of our basic human needs. And, you know, it's clear women are not going to accept a retrenchment on this. We very much demand our full reproductive rights.
Well, this month, I want to switch gears to talk about just this election as a whole. It's a month that feels like a year. We also saw your fellow third-party candidate, Robert F. Kennedy, suspend his campaign, putting his support instead behind former President Donald Trump. Did you have any conversations with your fellow third-party candidate about this decision? And if not, what do you make of it now that it's already said and done?
So, no, I did not have conversations. I have sought conversations with RFK many times over the course of the past year, and he has not been interested. Let me just say that I think the framing here is not third party versus, you know, mainstream establishment. The question is whether campaigns and candidates are being sponsored by big money donors, whether they are creatures of corporate donations. And let me just say that Chris Cuomo's reporting from the DNC, that short clip that he had about the ring of corporate sweeps that was really driving the dynamics, that was the most valuable reporting, I think, for the whole DNC, pointing to what it is really that is the driver, not only of the Democratic and the Republican parties. This is what voters are sick of. This is what voters very much want an alternative to. So personally, I don't frame it as third parties. I frame it as independent parties, that is independent of the money of billionaires and corporations. Unfortunately, RFK has always been within that system. That's where he started, that's where he continued. He accepts, for example, victory funds, which are a big loophole by which a single donor can write one check for $1 million and it gets laundered basically right back to the presidential campaign. So, you know, pretending to be a reformer when you're basically immersed in the swamp, I think it just doesn't carry the day. So I think RFK's decision to go back into the Republican Party to basically merge with the duopoly that he was going to be fighting, I think it's a disappointment to those who have been, you know, thinking that any third party is alike. No, there are corporate third parties, which are basically the same, and then there are people-powered parties, which is what our campaign is about and what I think the American voters are really demanding.
Well, I'm glad you brought up your campaign. I want to ask you about where it currently stands. I mean, when you look at it from a larger perspective, a lot of people, political pundits, calling you a spoiler for VP Kamala Harris in this race. What do you say to those critics, and what do you believe is your place in this presidential race?
Well, I think the American people have made clear that they want other choices. They have felt that from the very beginning. Remember, in 2020, 1 out of every 3 eligible voters chose not to vote for the 2 mainstream corporate-sponsored, billionaire, banker, big money-sponsored candidates and parties that continue to be rammed down our throats while the American people are really hurting. We have a healthcare emergency. We have a housing emergency. Half of all renters are really struggling, severely financially stressed. We need real solutions like a national program of rent control and a major program of building so-called social housing, previously called public housing. We need healthcare as a human right through a Medicare for all system, which actually saves us $500 billion every year just by cutting out the waste and the red tape. And we need to stop the incredible expenditures into the endless war machine. And in particular, the American people are calling for an end to the genocide and an end to the weapons. And that's very much, I think, our role here is to bring up these issues that are not going to get raised by politics as usual.
Dr. Jill Stein, thank you very much for coming on, sharing your ideas with us.
Thank you so much. Good to be with you.
Great to be with you too. And on News Nation this Tuesday, tune in for Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s first primetime interview since suspending his presidential campaign. That's going to be airing on Cuomo Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on News Nation. Coming up.